Good afternoon, and welcome to More Than Meets the Eye. I am your host, Blind Prime, and for today, I am talking about Studio Series 86 Grimlok. And this is not from the fourth movie, the Bayverse movie, but from the original movie, the 1986 movie, the one that gave kids nightmares. But hands down, a really amazing movie. So, I decided that for More Than Meets the Eye, I was going to talk about this guy because, as leader class figures go, that I have seen in my time buying Transformers since Siege, this is the biggest. He, hands down, is the tallest of the Siege. Let's get him in his complete standing mode, no longer action pose. You can see I gave him a sword. It's the sword that came with the Nemesis Prime spoiler pack. I liked it much better, though it can be a little difficult to get out of his hand. There. He got the really nice foosh foosh sword. And the way his arm bends, it works out pretty well. Like that. Cha 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 cha. He's got slashing action. Slash, slash, slash. Alright. So, let's set his arm off to the side a bit. Straighten him up. Stand at attention, Grimlok, so we can get a view of your total size. Alright. Now, for a comparison, I figured I would start it off by doing that. And I have already transformed and set up a few figures over here. So we will start first with the Earthrise Double Dealer, which is what I consider to be a pretty good leader class figure until this Grimlok came out, and a few others. But so this guy stands up. Grimlok, good grief, get your arm out of the. Oh, right. Grimlok's shoulders are on a ratchet. I forget that sometimes, so I don't add enough pressure to change it. You could see Double Dealer stands all the way up to almost the top of Grimlok's chest. Like, Grimlok is big. I think his foot may be wider. Yeah, look at that. Grimlok can actually, you step on this guy, and his foot almost stretches the entire width of Double Dealer. Grimlok's big. Alright, that's the Double Dealer comparison. I'm going to set Double Dealer off to the side. We'll put him over here for now. There we go, Double Dealer. Once again, we can do the Bumblebee comparison for a deluxe, the tiniest deluxe next to him. And Bumblebee comes up to a little over Grimlok's knee, to the midway up Grimlok's thigh. We've got ourselves a Galvatron. Galvatron stands up to... Actually, Galvatron is nearly as tall as Grimlok, but even Galvatron fails at Grimlok's size. Let's put Galvatron off to the side. There you go, Galvatron. And for the final leader class comparison, I have Optimus Prime, and Optimus Prime doesn't even makes it up a little over halfway up Grimlok's chest. This weird piece here that has the nice smooth texture, which I remember being a little I forgot what color it was now. Anyway, it's right above this odd feeling bit, and this big wide, would you call that a polygon? No, it's got 6 sides, so a hexagon. This big wide hexagon that Grimlok has on his chest is Optimus Prime comes up to the bottom of it, or midway up it. You get another comparison with Grimlok in front of Optimus, and you probably can't see the Optimus at all. Slide Optimus back to the side. Yeah, so Grimlok, as leader class goes, is pretty big. He's a big guy. He's large. I couldn't find my Shockwave to show comparison, but Shockwave is not as tall. There is nothing in Siege that is as tall as Grimlock. So, let's get into talking about Grimlock here. First off, I will mention his siege ports again. You know, he's got one for each arm, and let's get that. Come on, you. Let's get that out of there because we're going to talk about the. It's a really tight fit for the sword from Nemesis Prime to fit into Grimlock, and I have a feeling I am damaging the hand a bit, but I don't really mind. It's a good sword, and Grimlock never really used any weapons, in my opinion. At least in my own headcanon, he mainly uses swords. So, let's talk about siege ports. He's got one on each shoulder. He's got one on each forearm. He's got one on each hand. That's 6. He's got one on the back. That's right there, right above the T-Rex neck. That's 7. He's got one on the bottom of each foot, even though his feet are wide enough to have multiples. So that's 8 and 9. And that's it. That's it for siege ports on him. His robot mode is quite amazing. I love the fact that these joints for his arms are stiff, so you can get them in all sorts of poses. And they also are ratcheted, and that's because his arms double as the T-Rex legs, so they had to make the shoulders ratcheted, which I appreciate. I don't like ratcheting all the time, but in things that require weight, I do appreciate the ratchet. His legs, even though they're side-to-side motion... Oh, no. Oh, I snapped off the chest. That happens sometimes when moving the arms. The side-to-side motion on his legs is not ratcheted, but the joint is very tight, unlike the joints for many of the leader class figures that I have seen. When it comes to the side-to-side motion on the legs, they kind of fail a lot in that. The legs do twist a lot, which is good. They twist up at the joint for there. They have a soft ratchet for the back and forth motion, and a soft ratchet means it's a ratchet that doesn't really click, but you can feel it move in there. It's a soft ratchet. So no clicking necessary for a soft ratchet, just sturdiness, and you can feel it bumping around in there as it bumps across the little gears. He also has a flight stand port right on his butt. So he's got a porthole on his butt, and that's nice if you have any of the flight stands. You can put him in his flight mode, because remember, the the Dinobots, they could fly. He's got his wings right here, which double as his sides of his T-Rex mode. And as posing goes, this guy is pretty good. He's actually got kind of a double hinge in his knee, but not much of one. Side-to-side motion on his feet, pretty good. He can be posed in all sorts of cool ways because of the ratchets in both of his knees and his thigh. It makes it where you can actually support his crazy weight. And in addition to that, he's got really nice elbows, but not as great as I was hoping. But I'll forgive him for that. It is kind of annoying to have that hollow space right there behind the elbow, and I'm maybe just moving the elbows wrong, because there is another way to move the elbow, and that does look a little better. But then you have to spin it all the way around, and now the thumb of the T-Rex mode is pointed upwards, and the doubles are down. And so you can actually move these arms either way. Just that in one way, the hollowness from the fist hole in the forearm will be visible on the side, and the other way it is not. It's more hidden. at least in the sense of it's facing the inside of the robot. Anything else to talk about with him? Well, his transformation is actually quite simple. That is my biggest negative with him. I was hoping for a more complicated transformation that was fun to do. Though this transformation is fun to do, and it is very intuitive. I mean, while I'm talking to you right now, I can go ahead and transform him. You see, it just, the front chest comes off, the head spins inside of the bit, the T-Rex head comes up. These legs are all sorts of crazy because that bit folds, the back of it folds out, then the feet fold into themselves, and it's a pretty unique transformation, but also at the same time, it's kind of annoying because I was hoping for something a bit more complicated, and but I get it. You know, they gave us this size, they gave us this price, they tried their best to give us everything that we wanted, and it's all right that they couldn't give us an insanely complicated transformation. I'm all right with that. I do love me some cool transformations that, though you get frustrated at them from time to time, they will inevitably be some of the best transformations you ever have, because your frustrations on them make them stick in your memory more. And it's the ones that aren't so frustrating that they actually cause you to break the figure. You know, there's a fine line between good transformation and bad transformation. And I have to say, like, even though this one's pretty simple, it is a good transformation. You do get the Dinobot. You do get the Grimlok look from his T-Rex mode while in this transformation, which I have to say is really, really good. I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that they did stick to the G1. Even though with technology we have these days, they could have probably done something a little more unique. They still stuck with the G1, and for that, I thank them. It is cool to have a figure like this, especially one who is so so memorable. I mean, it's Grimlok. How can you ever not forget about him? And his T-Rex mode was pretty neat. The little T-Rex arms are kind of on a ball joint, so they can move around quite a bit, and they have a hinge at the elbow, so you can have him, just wave like hello. Me Grimlok say hello today. Right. You put him down like that, like a typical T-Rex. There. He also has a blast effect port in his mouth, so you can do an effect of him spitting fire. So you can change it up, so now it looks like he's spitting fire. If I had a blast effect on hand, I would show you. But for the most part, this guy becomes a really nice T-Rex, and he also becomes a really nice robot that has a lot of posability in both the robot and T-Rex modes. It's actually a really amazing figure, and I suggest picking it up if you can get a hold of it. This is Studio Series 86 Grimlok. I think he's number 6 in the Studio Series 86 listings, so he's the 6th figure in the line. And of course, Slag, the Triceratops, will be figure number 7, coming out shortly, and I can't wait for that. But I give this guy, when it comes to transformation, he's a 5 out of 10. In complexity, he's pretty simple, at least in the form of, if you ever had the G1 version, then you know how to transform this guy. And fun wise, I give it an 8. It's intuitive. You kind of just know how everything goes. Everything will just sort of fall into its right place, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's intuitive, it's fun, it's easy, and it's a good transformer. It's big and bulky, so you can get it for your kids and not worry about your kids screwing it up too much or breaking it on the first day. it he's nice, and I recommend him to everybody. He is one of my faves. But anyway, guys, I think that's been enough time for today. I am Blind Prime, and you've been watching More Than Meets the Eye, where we talk about the physical attributes of the toys that you necessarily don't really see in the packaging. And with that note, one last thing: uh, this guy's got some weight to him. Like he's not a flimsy Earthrise. He's got some heft. They did use some plastic in him, and that means that he can stabilize himself pretty well. He's got a good center of gravity. But anyway, until next time, bye bye.